Hello, I'm your TA Balaji and I will be discussing the solutions for assignment 12 now. Question 1. Which of the two latches will behave unusually for the given signals? So firstly, we'll look at the master latch and then the slave latch. In the master latch, the input D is connected to the innermost inputs, innermost NMOSes and NMOS and PMOS. However, in the slave latch, the input QM is connected to the top and the bottom inputs. So we will look at what is the effect of this kind of connection. So let's assume that there is a capacitor at this node, right? So when clock, the behavior of this circuit is to be that the master latch needs to be transparent when clock is equal to 0. It is opaque when clock is equal to 1. Similarly, the slave latch is transparent when clock is equal to 1, and when clock is equal to 0, it is opaque. Now let's verify if this happens, right? So when clock is equal to 0, these two nodes would be at voltages VDD and ground, right? Depending on the input. Like for this case, the input is 0, and hence when clock is equal to 0, these nodes would be I'm talking about this interval where t is equal to 0. These nodes would be at 0 and VDD respectively, right? Now when clock goes to 1, we expect that the master latch does not respond to any change in the input t. However, you can see that when there is a change in d, there is a change in qm, since these nodes, these intermediate nodes, let's call them v1 and v2, are at VDD and ground. Hence, when d goes to 1, qm goes to approximately 0. So this node is not exactly held at ground. It is a floating capacitor at ground. So it goes approximately at 0, and when again d goes back to 0, it goes back approximately to 1, to VDD. Right? So hence the master latch is is behaving unusually, and hence option A is correct. To fix this issue, it is very simple. You just need to connect the inputs of D to the top and bottom transistors. That is this transistor and this transistor, and swap clock and clock bar to these transistors. That is the answer for question 2. Question 3. For sequencing using flip-flops, determine the maximum logic propagation delay available within a 400 picoseconds clock cycle. Assume there is no clock skew and time borrowing. So let's look at a flop-based system first. In a flop-based system, the total TC is greater than or equal to TPCQ plus TPD plus T setup plus T skew. That is the values here, TPCQ, then from here TPD, then T setup and T skew. Right, so now you can see that TPD is the expression shown in this blue box. Using this expression for TPD, we find out the max TPD as T clock minus TPCQ plus T setup. Hence the answer for 3 is 285 picoseconds. Now moving on to question 4, it is the same, except in the question 4, assume there is a clock skew of 60 picoseconds. So adding the clock skew in the formula, we get 225 picoseconds as the answer. Moving on to the latch based system. In a latch based system, however, the total TC here, you can see TC is greater than or equal to, let us say that there exists a time borrow plus TPDQ1 plus TPD plus TPDQ2 plus TPD2, and we assume that it finishes within T, right? So TC is greater than this whole expression. Hence, to obtain TP, we say that the TPD is nothing but TPD1 plus TPD2. Right, so the formula for that, for TPD1 plus TPD2 max, is T minus TPDQ1 plus TPDQ2. Hence the answer is 320 picoseconds. For sequencing using latches, determine the maximum logic propagation delay available within a 400 picoseconds clock cycle. Assume there is a clock skew of 60 picoseconds and no time borrow. Latches are skew tolerant, so In the case of a latch, right, uh, when there is a skew, the clock moves forward and hence acts as the T borrow for the next stage. And hence, in the case of a latch, the the total TPD does not change. Hence, 320 picoseconds is the right answer. Suppose one cycle of logic is particularly critical and the next cycle is nearly empty. Determine the maximum amount of time that first cycle can borrow into the second for sequencing. So in a flip-flop based system, the T borrow is equal to 0. Since the flip-flop based system cannot borrow any time from the next cycle, it has a stringent T setup constraint at the end of the clock cycle. Hence, the T borrow is 0 in a flip-flop based system. In the case of a two-phase transparent latch with 50% duty cycle, the maximum T borrow is T setup by 2 TC by 2 minus T setup minus the non-overlap interval and the T skew. So this is obtained by analyzing the two-phase transparent latch system, and in this case, since the non-overlap is 0, it is just and T skew is 0. 200 minus 25, 175 picoseconds is the right answer. The next question, there is a T non-overlap of 70 picoseconds, and hence plugging it into this formula, we obtain 105 picoseconds. Suppose one cycle of logic is particularly critical and the next is nearly empty. Determine the maximum amount when there is a T clock skew of 40 picoseconds. So in the previous case, we did not consider clock skew. Again, in a flip-flop based system, the T borrow is 0. Hence, since it cannot borrow any time from the next cycle. Again, for a two-phase transparent latch with 50% duty cycle, we have TC by 2 minus T setup minus T non-overlap minus T skew, and hence the answer is 135 picoseconds. Again, if we have 70 picoseconds of T non-overlap, the answer is 65 picoseconds. Moving on to questions 13 and 14. For the sequencing path shown in figure 2, determine the minimum clock period at which the circuit will operate correctly for each of the logics. Assume that latch delays are accounted for in the propagation. So delta 1 is equal to so much. So how do we find out this, right? So in a latch based system, there are, since there exists two loops in this circuit, there all that we need to ensure is that the total delay delta 1 plus delta 2 does not exist T is less than or equal to T, and delta 1 plus delta 2 plus delta 3 plus delta 4 does not exceed 2T. Hence, we obtain a constraint on maximum T max as T min, right? T min as max of this plus this divided by 2, right? So by calculating that for question 1, we obtain 550 picoseconds. In the second case, it is 650 picoseconds, right? Now moving on to a flop based system. In a flop based system, so in a flop based system, the constraints are as follows, wherein each of these must satisfy the time period. That is, delta 1 plus delta 2 should be less than or equal to T, and as well as delta 3 plus delta 4 should be less than or equal to T, since it does not allow for any time borrow from the next phase, right? So it is max of delta 1 plus delta 2 comma delta 3 plus delta 4. In this case, delta 1 plus delta 2 is nothing but 700 picoseconds, and delta 3 plus delta 4 is 600 picoseconds, right? 600 picoseconds. Hence, the answer, the max is 700 picoseconds. Now, if there exists a skew, all that we need to do is we need to add in the skew and also calculate. This we are doing this so that we account for the worst case condition, right? So the answer is if there is a skew of 40 picoseconds, is 740 and 640. So the max is 740 picoseconds and the answer is 740. Right? Thank you. If you have any more doubts, you can post them on the discussion forum. Thank you very much.